He starts out cool, simply demanding cash. But then, fiery violence. He's fast, tough, and well protected. Investigators vow to catch him and risk their own lives to do it. At every turn, they face dangerous surprises from a violent felon on the run.
In the Southwest, one serial bank robber claimed his loot went to the poor. But this thief was no folk hero. He had a gun and was willing to shoot. I'm Jim Kallstrom, former head of the FBI's New York office. The gunman was desperate to stay free, a threat to anyone in his way. The FBI and U.S. Marshals teamed up to capture a resourceful criminal who proved he would never stop fighting.
Albuquerque, New Mexico. On December 29, 1998, in the city's northeast section. For the employees and customers of a local bank, the day started much like any other. What they did not know was that a man who had already robbed one bank earlier that morning was about to make another withdrawal.
Sir, I can help you over here. Sir?
When the robber approaches the teller, he asks her to give him money from the cash drawer.
Okay, I have a gun, and this is a robbery.
Trained to always comply with a robber's request and avoid any dangerous confrontation, the teller gives the man what he asks for, and more. She slips the man a bundle of cash containing an exploding dye pack.
I'm having this gun, and I'm losing something.
The robber slips out as quietly as he entered.
Albuquerque 911, where is your emergency? This is a bank robbery?
The alarm goes out to local police. And because bank robbery is a federal offense, the FBI. Special Agents Scott Campbell and John Tanberg respond from the FBI's Albuquerque resident agency. It begins as a routine call for Special Agent Tanberg.
Albuquerque has had per capita more than its share of bank robberies. In the late 90s, we were in the neighborhood of 90 to 100 bank robberies per year.
What do you look at specifically?
Yet this case will be anything but routine. Agents learned the bandit was strangely calm.
Most of the people in the bank had no idea that it had even been robbed. There was no commotion, there was no what they would think and had seen previously on TV of bank robberies with shots fired or people yelling.
The tellers remember nothing distinctive about him.
Well, the physical description that we received was of a white male, possibly Hispanic, dark hair, average build, wearing sunglasses, fairly neat haircut, wearing a ball cap, and not very distinctive clothing.
Despite a thorough examination, technicians recover no usable prints from the teller counter or doors.
Appreciate that.
They find no other physical evidence.
We'll try.
Investigators suspect an electronic witness may have observed the robber.
The primary security countermeasure that a bank will have would be surveillance cameras. Sometimes they're high quality, sometimes they're not.
In this case, the cameras were not of much help.
You know, he comes up. You know,
They show the robber, but the quality is not good.
We didn't retrieve any significant information from the surveillance tapes of either of those two bank robberies. They weren't particularly good images. We didn't get a good angle. of the face. I believe that there may have been a good shot of the top of his ball cap, but nothing that gave us any significant facial features.
The robbers simply walked into 2 banks in one day, took their cash and walked out. He left no prints, no evidence, and beat the bank's surveillance systems. He left the FBI nothing that would help them identify him.
There wasn't a whole lot of information that we had to work with. We didn't believe that this was somebody that had hit any of the Albuquerque area banks in the past. We were not in a position to connect him to anything that had occurred prior to this. So in our minds, this could potentially be a traveler.
Agents spread out across the area and talk with everyone who lived near the bank. They are looking for anyone who may have seen the robber. Anyone who could give them a positive ID. Agents get a break when they find a witness.
A neighbor who lived behind the bank saw a man running out of the bank and around the corner back behind the bank.
And then, a cloud of red mist. Agents realize it must have been the dye pack. This is their man.
This witness provided a full license plate number of a vehicle registered in the state of Nevada.
This confirms their suspicions.
59-3, respond code 3.
The robber does not appear to be from Albuquerque.
With that license plate, we ran through our dispatch center registration in Nevada and came up with a registered owner and an address of the vehicle was registered at.
But the address is to a motel off the Las Vegas Strip. Perhaps a cover to throw off the cops. The agents have hit a dead end. They try another tack and run the plate number through a credit bureau. They get a hit. The FBI finds the loan is registered to another address in Wyoming. An agent there interviews the registered owner. He asks him where he was on the day the robberies occurred.
I was interviewing for this position right now.
The man replies he was in Wyoming, interviewing for his job as a postal worker. An alibi corroborated by his supervisor.
He was a law-abiding citizen and did not have any knowledge of any criminal activity that was associated with his vehicle that was in Albuquerque.
The man explains he no longer has possession of the car. His ex-wife Carlita uses it, and she lives in Albuquerque.
We eventually tracked down the ex-wife of the vehicle's owner. We made contact with her and spoke to her about her vehicle, where it had been, who had control of it, who has other keys to it, and where it was the previous day during the time frame of the bank robberies.
Carlita says that on the day of the robbery, she was at work. She explains she has a big family in the area and many people borrow her car.
She did not know who had her car the previous day and that it should have been parked in its parking spot near her apartment. She did, however, tell us that the vehicle was a little lower on gas than what she had left it at.
Carlita gives her consent for a search.
Remembering from the previous day that the dye pack had exploded, we thought perhaps there would be evidence of the red dye inside the vehicle. However, we did not find any.
It's possible that the witness got the license plate number wrong. Possible, but not likely.
I had reservations with what she had told us, simply because it was too coincidental that this vehicle that was seen as the getaway vehicle at the robbery the previous day and registered in the state of Nevada was actually located in Albuquerque.
No hard evidence links Carlita to the robberies, but something about this seems suspicious. Agents suspect there is some connection.
Although she did not remain a suspect, she remained a person that we wanted to stay in contact with and a person of interest in these investigations.
Police and the FBI have exhausted their leads. The robberies go unsolved. And then, several months later, the mysterious bandit strikes again. He hits a series of banks in a very short period of time. His MO remains the same. He gets in, gets the cash, and gets out. And never leaves any evidence behind.
Beginning in around middle of March of 1999 and continuing up through the end of May of 99, approximately 6 banks were robbed from the evidence that we had obtained in the form of video surveillance, descriptions by the witnesses and the bank tellers, and just general demeanor. We came to the conclusion that we had a serial bank robber working in Albuquerque.
Local police and the FBI must identify the lone bandit and stop him before someone gets hurt. A serial bank robber terrorizes Albuquerque, New Mexico, sometimes striking multiple banks in one day. Local police and the FBI work together to identify him and stop his rampage. As the bandit's spree continues, he grows more aggressive, according to FBI Special Agent John Tanberg.
He began to take more money by going behind the teller counters and causing the tellers to take money out of several teller drawers.
The robber becomes more unpredictable and violent. Agents begin to fear that the longer he continues robbing banks, the more likely someone is going to get hurt, or worse.
There were occasions when it appeared that the offender may be utilizing narcotics, because there were occasions when he was quite physical with people that seemed very inappropriate. It appeared that the offender was becoming more and more desperate in that regard.
He's now much more willing to use his gun. He surprises tellers by announcing the money will go to starving children in Mexico. After one robbery in June, the FBI gets better security camera photos of the gunman. With no physical evidence, the photos are agents' best lead.
We like to have public interest as active as possible when we have a serial offender. We'll get the media to cooperate and to place the information into newspaper columns, television. People will very often respond to Crime Stoppers and call in tips.
Because the robber tends to hit in sprees, and all the robberies took place in the northeast quadrant of Albuquerque, the agents stake out banks in the area. They hope they can set a trap, and the robber will walk into it. But because they have so little to go on, the agents must rely on blind luck. They follow up on every tip, but nothing pans out.
The robber was getting more and more active. It was becoming more and more desirable to arrest him and prosecute him. And that becomes a little bit frustrating when you have an offender that you're not able to identify, even though you have done your best efforts to do so. The robber never touched anything to produce any fingerprints that we could use as evidence. The robber didn't leave anything behind.
The FBI will need to appeal to the public for help.
At one point,
They need a hook to capture the public's imagination. The FBI bank robbery squad assigns nicknames to serial robbers.
The media will latch onto the case a little bit better sometimes that way, and it gets the public interest up.
The FBI dubs this one Robin the Hood for his dubious claims that the stolen cash goes to starving children. With each new robbery, local media jumps on the story. and the bandit likes the attention.
Well, the robber seemed to revel in the name that we attached to him. He seemed to like the idea of being called Robin the Hood. There were occasions when he walked in and walked up to the victim teller and said, "Hey, you know who I am. I'm Robin the Hood."
Despite the name, agents doubt the thief is giving his money away. They suspect that, like most bank robbers, he uses the cash to finance a drug habit or other criminal activities. Whoever he is, he's good, leaving no clues behind. Agents keep watching and waiting for him to strike again. It seems they are at the mercy of the bank robber. After 14 robberies, the only possible lead to Robin the Hood is Carlita's car. FBI Special Agent Scott Campbell keeps talking with her.
I spoke to her on the phone probably 5 or 6 times throughout the 8 months, because in the back of my mind I knew that she had something to do with the robberies, or she can provide some information or evidence that would lead us to the robber.
Finally, in August 1999, the case breaks open when Carlita, by now 8 months pregnant, contacts Agent Campbell.
She calls me and says, "We need to talk. I have some information that'll solve the cases."
She says the robber is her husband, Byron Chubbik. She'll explain more in person.
And so I make a time to meet her the next morning at her apartment.
The agents pull Chubbik's record and learn he's got a history of violence and gang affiliations. Carlita said she can talk now because Chubbik moved to St. Louis. Agents had offered a more secure location for the interview, but she declined.
She said that she didn't feel that there was any danger, that she was with him when he had loaded his truck and had departed for St. Louis. So she felt safe and secure being interviewed at her apartment, and she insisted that we interview her there.
Still, agents approach with caution, wanting to avoid a surprise confrontation with Chubbik.
Prior to going in the apartment, I made a phone call into the apartment to see if he was around and if she had any other information on him since we spoke the evening before. Once we were comfortable that he was not around, I radioed into our dispatch using our car radios to tell them the address we were going to be at. As we entered the apartment, Agent Tamberg and I just made a quick cursory look around to ensure that no one else was there.
Carlita positively identifies the man in the bank photos as Byron Chubbik. She confirms he's a member of Albuquerque's notorious Brewtown gang and says lately he's been growing more violent.
And she told us that the reason why she was coming forward at this time is that she was scared for her life and that of her unborn son.
Way out of hand.
Carlita pleads with him to arrest Chubbik quickly.
Out of my life. I'm out of here.
He had threatened her and other family members that even if he wasn't around, if they ever talked to law enforcement, that his gang would kill them and other members of their family, or else create great harm to their family.
The confrontation agents wanted to avoid is seconds away. When a violent robber hits 14 banks in the Albuquerque area, police and the FBI struggle to ID the man. The case stalls until a witness comes forward. FBI agents interview the wife of prime suspect Byron Chubbik. Carlita tells Special Agent John Tanberg that she feels safe to talk because Chubbik's left the area. But she's wrong.
During the course of the interview, we heard a vehicle pull up outside. She looked out the window and said, "It's him."
The agents decide to hide in the bedroom to avoid a confrontation that could make Chubbik turn violent. Special Agent Scott Campbell.
We'd already made plans prior to the interview that should he be there or we encounter him, we would effect a probable cause arrest or a warrantless arrest. When we moved into the bedroom, both myself and Agent Tanberg unholstered our weapons to effect this arrest, should it come to that.
I couldn't see him from where I was standing, but I could hear his voice. Also, I could see her, and I knew that she was telling him that we were in there.
The agents have no way out. Confrontation with this violent thief is inevitable.
When you undergo this type of activity, time changes its dimension, and a split second seemed like about 5 minutes.
Fired 2 rounds through the common wall back at Chubbik, or at least where I thought he was.
He paused in his shooting for a period of time, and I had become aware that possibly a half dozen rounds had gone off, and it appeared that he was reloading, and I was prepared in a position to shoot him if he did come into the room.
A figure appears.
Thinking that was Chubbik, I began to pull the trigger. I realized it was her, and I was able to deflect the shot as the trigger was being squeezed off.
You all right? Got it. You okay? You sure? Yeah. Okay, stay right here.
They clear the place. He's gone.
It's amazing that there weren't any injuries sustained by myself and Scott Campbell. I think we both acknowledged that a greater power was watching over us that day, because we had bullets that were coming through the wall at us, firing all through the room, and we didn't sustain any injuries of significance.
Target house, thank you.
Carlita is unharmed, though the bullet was so close it cut off some of her hair. The agents stay where they are.
Not knowing where Chubbik was, we made the decision to stay inside the apartment, where at least we had a defensive firing position set up should he return to the apartment.
Local police are called to the scene. They rush to the aid of the FBI agents and secure the area.
The Albuquerque Police Department uniformed officers arrive and set up a little perimeter for us. We make contact with them verbally, and then we get out of the apartment.
Agents send the pregnant woman to a hospital to be checked out. Police fan out across the neighborhood to find out if anyone saw Chubbik leave the area. No one reports seeing him go, and his car's still there. Lieutenant Terry Ward was in charge of the Albuquerque Police Department's Special Investigations Division.
It wasn't looking good that this was going to end peacefully. Given his past, his willingness to fight with police officers, the fact that he had just engaged in a gunfight with armed Bureau investigators gave us an indication that this might be his, a last stand.
Then an officer spots Chubbik at the window of another apartment in the same building. And a standoff begins. Chubbik is 2 apartments down from Carlita's, completely surrounded, but not ready to give up.
The Albuquerque Police Department had their hostage negotiator on the scene, trying to work with him, trying to get him to surrender, but there was no response.
Though authorities outside don't know it yet, the gunman keeps moving, making his way back to the scene of the shootout.
Byron, it's the
For 3 tense hours, there's no response from Chubbik. But then Chubbik makes a break from Carlita's apartment.
Took him down with a beanbag round from a shotgun. That's a round that's not a lethal form, but it will stun a person.
Amazingly, throughout the entire ordeal, no one is injured. Investigators arrest Chubbik and transport him to the FBI office for booking. Byron Chubbik pleads guilty to 14 counts of bank robbery, plus assault on federal agents, and is sentenced to 40 years in prison. Agents recover only a few dollars of the cash he stole.
We never believed that the money was being used to feed starving children. In particular, in retrospect, after getting to know Byron Chubbik, the last thing he would do would be to feed starving children. His main interest was to feed his narcotics habit.
But Chubbik doesn't plan to spend the next 40 years in jail. On December 21st, 2000, he announces he wants to fire his court-appointed lawyers and withdraw his guilty plea, a calculated move, one which requires him to attend a court hearing. U.S. Marshal Senior Inspector Eric Neighbor.
After the hearing that day, he was being transported back to the Santa Fe Correctional Facility in Santa Fe County. He had obtained a handcuff key and was able to unlock his restraints from his hands and from his ankles, and was able to kick the van window out and escape through the van window. The driver heard a bang, and when he looked to see where it was, he thought he was in a traffic accident of some sort. Saw that Byron was halfway out the window.
The guards try to stop him, but he's moving fast and they can't leave the other prisoners.
Get back!
Byron Chubbik is on the run. On December 21st, 2000, convicted bank robber Byron Chubbik escapes in Albuquerque, New Mexico. U.S. Marshal Senior Inspector Eric Neighbor.
There were shots fired at Byron Chubbik after he escaped by the correctional officers, but we don't believe that he was struck by any of those rounds.
Albuquerque police helped coordinate a massive manhunt.
There was a huge amount of law enforcement activity trying to find him. There was dogs searching the area, there was helicopters, there was door-to-door searches. There was a lot of police officers on the ground trying to find him.
A helicopter systematically searches for Chubbik by flying in an aerial grid above the area where he escaped. It is clear that Chubbik is dangerous. The FBI knows that a desperate man on the run is capable of anything. They need to find him quickly before innocent people are harmed. As time passes with no sign of the fugitive, they are forced to widen the search area. Investigators from 6 agencies try to lock the area down. They set up roadblocks. They search street by street, house by house. Despite the massive effort, they come up empty. Soon they learn why. A local woman calls police to report she'd been carjacked. She says an hour earlier, a man fitting Chubbik's description forced her into her car. He ordered her to drive him to the outskirts of town, where he released her unharmed.
She's able to tell us where she dropped him off and what time, and gives a description of what he was wearing at that time.
Investigators focus the search there, but find nothing, and call off the manhunt at 9 p.m. By now it's been hours. He could be hundreds of miles away.
We were not able to locate where he was at that night, and we shifted gears a little bit to go from a manhunt to more of an investigation to try and locate where he might be, with interviews of family members and gang members and things like that.
Chubbik could not have disappeared without help. Investigators pressure every known associate of the fugitive, yet all they get is resistance.
Look, I just told you, I don't know. Look, hey, get on the car.
The infamous Brewtown gang will not give up one of their own. Because of Chubbik's desperate, violent actions, the U.S. Marshal Service places him on their 15 most wanted list.
After Chubbik escaped, he was highly motivated to keep himself from being captured again. I believe that he would use any means at his disposal to keep himself from being put back into jail, which made him a dangerous person.
For days, the FBI watches places where the gang is known to hang out. They are looking for any suspicious activity. And they continue talking to people on the street. The FBI also monitors any recent bank robberies to see if Chubbik is struck again. But the robber is strangely silent. For more than a week, there's no sign of the fugitive. Law enforcement knows Chubbik has a heavy drug habit. Soon he'll need cash for more methamphetamines, a drug that makes the user feel powerful, paranoid, and super aggressive. To get the money, authorities believe he will begin robbing banks again, which will aid the effort to locate and apprehend the fugitive. While under the influence of the drug, there's no telling what he'll do next.
We felt that he was the highest priority to get back into custody.
But some investigators suspect Chubbik is no longer in the country. Albuquerque Police Department Lieutenant Terry Ward.
He had connections in Mexico. He could have easily fled to Mexico and hidden there. I didn't really think he would stay in the metropolitan area because his name and face was very familiar to everybody.
Put the money in the bag!
On January 16th, 2001, a year and 5 months since his last heist, Chubbik bursts back onto the scene in his old neighborhood. He robs a stunning 6 Albuquerque banks in a single day. A week later, he robs 3 more over 2 days.
Come on, come on, come on!
Special Agent John Tanberg has chased him from the beginning.
Chubbik was a very, very brazen robber. He robbed banks that had been previously robbed by him. He didn't seem to care that the bank employees knew him already.
Each time, he brags to his victims that he's robbing the hood.
Robbing the hood, baby! Robbing the hood!
And each time, the police and FBI find no evidence. Nothing that could lead them to their elusive bank robber.
He became more and more successful in his robberies, and he was more and more in the position to taunt law enforcement. We didn't receive significant physical evidence during the course of these robberies, and they occurred very often.
With each new heist, the fugitive's legend grows.
The investigation trying to apprehend Byron Chubbik was the biggest case in Albuquerque in recent time. He was featured almost every night on the local news with pictures and photographs and Crime Stoppers telephone numbers and things like that to try and help apprehend him. And we got a lot of phone calls about his whereabouts or possible whereabouts.
Although agents chase every lead, Chubbik remains elusive. The FBI suspects members of his Brewtown gang are protecting him. A dangerous band of hardened criminals, the gang has the network to hide a fugitive and the means to fight back. Albuquerque investigators are hunting for Byron Chubbik, a violent bank robber on the run after a brazen escape from jail. He's being chased by multiple agencies, according to U.S. Marshal Senior Inspector Eric Neighbor.
The Albuquerque Police Department, the FBI, and the United States Marshal Service entered into a task force to aid each other in apprehending Byron Chubbik. We pooled our resources together so there wouldn't be 3 different departments searching for the same person.
Despite a massive manhunt, Chubbik is continuing to rob banks in Albuquerque. Albuquerque Police Department Lieutenant Terry Ward.
He was robbing banks and getting away with it. So as long as he kept getting away with it, he would keep doing it. And that was one of the reasons we got together with the other agencies, in that he had to be stopped. He wasn't going to stop on his own. He wasn't going to leave. So he was still creating a problem for us.
Securing warrants, investigators tapped the phones of several of Chubbik's associates. Intercepted conversations suggest the fugitive has fled across the border to Mexico. The FBI alerts the Border Patrol and contacts the Mexican Federal Police, asking them to watch for Chubbik. Then agents intercept calls that indicate Chubbik is back in Albuquerque. But the conversations are vague, with no direct reference to where he's hiding. Investigators maintain pressure on the Brewtown gang, making it clear that no one will have a moment's rest until Chubbik is back in custody. It works. Early in the morning on February 5th, 2001, someone drops off a letter at a local radio station. It's from Byron Chubbik. TJ Trout is the morning DJ for Albuquerque's 94 Rock.
It was intense. I mean, there were a lot of emotions going on when we get this. It's like, holy look at this. This is from Byron Chubbik. The note said he had conditions for his surrender, that he wanted to get out to the public, but he wanted to be interviewed on 94 Rock. He wanted us to interview him on the morning show. He wanted to implicate some law enforcement individuals who he thought treated him badly and tried to kill him. And he wanted all this out, and if all this was out, he would peacefully surrender. We didn't know if it was from him. We didn't know if it was just from a prankster. We didn't know. And right after I got the note, I went on the air with the note, and I said, look, we just received a note from somebody, and if you are who we think you are, you have to call me back at this certain number, and I'm going to ask you a few questions. And that immediately, the phone rang.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, this is Robin. What's up, Doc? What do you want to know?
Well, I tell you what.
Are you trying to bust me?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
That'd be a bad thing.
No, this is what I'm trying to do. He sounded agitated, and he sounded like he was nervous. He's like any other guy would be that's looking over his shoulder. Everywhere you go, you're saying, well, is that a cop? Is that a cop? If you want me to put this on
the air... helicopter, dude. Is that the feds?
No, it's not.
There's helicopters and everything.
He complains authorities are out to murder him.
These feds and these marshals and these police lie. Come on, give me a break. These guys started a shootout in my house with my pregnant wife.
The call ends ominously.
Is there any way that we can contact you?
Hell no, dude. I'm strapped down with so many machine guns and all kinds of cool I'm ready for whatever.
It's clear the fugitives prepared for another firefight. The station immediately calls the authorities.
I believe Chubbik contacted the radio station to bolster his ego a little bit. I think he had a need to be in the public eye with the publicity that was surrounding his escape.
Anytime they do things to gain attention, it helps the police department. If they crawl underground and we never hear nor see of them again, it makes it much more difficult to catch them. But if they're doing things like robbing banks, seeking publicity, it gives us tabs that we can start from to keep looking for them.
Also, Scott Campbell.
The fugitive's ego might be his undoing, as agents now have a solid lead and physical evidence.
1999. This just came from the lab, and they just...
Lab technicians find Chubbik's fingerprint on the letter, confirming it's authentic. Investigators review the security footage from the radio station.
We could tell, first of all, the person who delivered the letter was not Byron Chubbik. We knew what he looked like, and this wasn't that individual. But we did have a good, clear picture of the individual that delivered it. And this eventually proved the straw that broke the camel's back.
One police detective recognizes the man as a sometime member of the Brewtown gang. His name is Ronald Baker.
Our mindset was that we would follow this individual without his knowledge, and he would lead us to Byron Chubbik.
The Albuquerque gang squad sets up surveillance on Baker's mobile home. At one point, they see a man who resembles Chubbik, but it's too dark for a positive ID. Somehow, they have to get inside that trailer. On the trail of fugitive Byron Chubbik, Albuquerque authorities surveil a mobile home they think he's hiding in. At the same time, agents learn one of Chubbik's gang associates has been arrested on state carjacking charges.
It's a good deal if you agree to wear a wire.
They use tougher federal sentencing rules to pressure him to cooperate, according to Special Agent John Tanberg.
We decided that it would be a simple matter to charge him federally so that there would be a penalty of significance that could be utilized as a means by which he would be persuaded to work for us.
The man doesn't want to do it, worried about gang retribution. But with no parole in the federal system, the man is looking at years of prison time.
30 seconds away from you.
Investigators offer to revert to state charges, which would make him eligible for parole if he cooperates. In the end, his fear of prison prevails, and he agrees to turn informant. The plan is to wire the informant with a recording device and send him into the trailer to see if Chubbik's there.
Go in there, sit down, and think about the wire. We'll give you time to get comfortable with it, but these guys, can you do a test on that? Just relax, get comfortable with that wire. Let's just go.
It's a dangerous assignment. If the gang realizes he's cooperating, they'll likely kill him on the spot. Over the wire, investigators listen as the informant tries to calm down the people inside. It's tense. Something's definitely going on. The informant asks about Chubbik, but the men say he's not there.
Nobody back there.
When the tension grows, it's too much. It's time for the informant to get out. At the police station, investigators debrief the informant.
You said you heard something in the back room, right? Yeah, big deal. It's like his girlfriend or something. But you don't know that. What are you trying to do?
They're convinced Chubbik is hiding in the trailer and persuade the informant to go back in.
You are going back.
Changed. We gotta go back.
Don't know that.
All right, come on, let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Thanks.
All stations stand by.
Undercover officers stand by, ready to move in if anything goes wrong.
We'll use the bathroom real quick, all right, guys?
All units need to go inside.
Get back! What's wrong with you? He's okay, man. He's all right.
Eventually, everyone calms down and no one gets hurt.
Sorry, man. I need a place to stay, man. Can I crash on the couch?
Yeah, man. Sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Look, man, I'm gonna tell my buds. I'll be right back, all right? Man, I hope you're all right, man. I'm sorry about that. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna tell my buds, man. I'll be right back, all right?
Senior Inspector Eric Neighbor.
He exited the mobile home and informed police that Byron Chubbik was indeed inside that mobile home.
Albuquerque Police Department Lieutenant Terry Ward.
The informant told us that Chubbik was very paranoid and very jumpy. Most career criminals are paranoid. They trust very few people. They're constantly looking behind their backs. They keep very low profiles. They move quite often. So they are paranoid, and sometimes it can even be a drug-induced paranoia.
Immediately, members of Albuquerque PD's specially trained tactical arrest teams respond to the call, hoping the takedown will end peacefully, but well prepared if it doesn't. Members of Albuquerque's gang unit and repeat offenders program move in stealthily. The men refuse orders to stop. Investigators scramble to contain Chubbik, determined to stop the dangerous fugitive. But Byron Chubbik has never given up easy. Detective Richard Lewis speeds toward the scene. Seconds later, Lewis spots the car Chubbik's in.
When Detective Lewis realized that the vehicle coming at him was indeed Byron Chubbik, the person we had been looking for, he made a decision to stop the vehicle right then and there.
Lewis decides to force a crash. The other officers approach and find Chubbik lying motionless, a Tech-9 semi-automatic handgun beside him. He's wounded by a single bullet to the chest, but he's alive. Officers arrest his accomplice, Ronald Baker, still dazed from the crash. Detectives then trace the rounds that missed. Several pierced a nearby trailer while residents slept inside. But when police check on them, everyone's fine.
There was a great sense of relief because this investigation and the publicity and all the long hours had come to this crescendo, and it had ended as it should. The good guys weren't hurt and the bad guy was hurt, and he was in custody.
Special Agent Scott Campbell.
In the end, Chubbik showed his true colors. He wasn't the Robin the Hood mythical character that we dubbed him as, and he started believing. He was actually the violent felon that he is.
Chubbik is later convicted of multiple charges, including escape, robbery, and assault with a weapon. A federal judge adds 40 years to his original 40-year sentence. He fully recovers from the gunshot wound that stopped his crime spree.
During the investigation, during our research and our background check, I had the opportunity to read some of his correspondence. Very intelligent man. He could be a very successful civilian, living a very productive life. But for some reason, he chose to go into robbing banks. And he was very good at it for a short while. And his greed and his ego is eventually what led to his downfall.
Byron Chubbik was quick to fire, threatening agents' lives. But because investigators never gave up, he's no longer a risk to anyone outside the prison system. A series of explosions rip through New York City. Sifting through the wreckage in search of one shred of evidence, the FBI and police are desperate for something to lead them to these ruthless terrorists. But the killers are careful to cover their tracks. As the bombings escalate, the FBI is in a deadly race to stop this murderous group with a dangerous cause.
70s and early 80s, a legitimate Puerto Rican independence movement took hold in the United States. But a splintered terrorist group known as the FALN was suspected of executing hundreds of bombings in major U.S. cities. I'm Jim Kallstrom, former head of the FBI's New York office. The terrorists were smart, well-organized, and deadly, and went to great lengths to conceal their identities. Agents were determined to shut them down before they hit again.
New York City, October 26, 1974. Just after midnight. 5 explosions rock Manhattan. New York City police officers race to the scenes. The biggest explosion occurs in the financial district. NYPD detective Elmer Toro leads the investigation. One look at the devastation and Toro knows he will be lucky to find any useful evidence. It appears the bombers used dynamite.
The problem with bombings is that most of the evidence disappears at the scene. It disappears because how do you trace dynamite? We have no way of tracing dynamite. You can hope for a fingerprint here and there. You can hope for a witness.
Police question everyone in the area, but no one had seen the bomber. The pattern of debris indicates the bomb was placed under a car.
It was put under the engine block, and it picked up the car, and the engine just flew up in the air. Pieces landed up all the way up on the 6th floor. It was a pretty impressive bombing. We did realize quickly that we had a serious problem in our hands.
The only solid clue found at the scene is the tattered remains of what appears to be a leather luggage handle. While police continue to process the scene, they get a call from the Associated Press. One of the alleged bombers called the news agency and told them to look at a phone booth near the bomb site. A patrolman is dispatched to the location. There, under the phone, he finds a letter. He takes it to headquarters to study it for leads. The letter is from a group calling themselves the FALN. In Spanish, the initials stand for the Armed Forces for the National Liberation of Puerto Rico. They are a fringe group with a limited following.
The FALN is not even known in Puerto Rico. It's known to the radical, it's known to those fighting for independence, but in general, you speak to the average Puerto Rican, and the FALN is totally unknown to them.
The former Spanish colony of Puerto Rico is voluntarily part of the United States. In elections, more than 90% of Puerto Ricans vote to continue to be part of the U.S., while less than 5% vote for independence. Now that 5% has turned dangerous. In the letter, the FALN demands that the U.S. abandon Puerto Rico, or more bombs will explode.
These are not people that believe in the electoral system. Their objective is to be violent and, through fear, cause the people to support them.
What began as a bombing investigation is now a terrorist attack. And fighting terrorism is the job of the FBI. The NYPD goes to the Bureau. Detective Toro briefs FBI Special Agent Don Wofford on the evidence found at the bombing locations.
The evidence showed that the device was a dynamite-like high explosive, definitely set off by some kind of detonator, because that's the only thing that sets off the sticks of dynamite. There were plenty of pieces to show a watch had been used as the timing device, and plenty of pieces of a battery showing that the battery had been used to complete the circuit. Pieces of debris showing that this device was in some kind of bag. Several pieces of a handle were found.
It's not much to go on, but it's all the investigators have. They try to find out who made the handle. Perhaps they can use the information to learn who bought it. They then turn their attention to the communique It demands the U.S. abandon Puerto Rico and release 5 Puerto Rican terrorists from federal prison. The terrorists have been in prison since the 1950s. Decades earlier, on November 1st, 1950, 2 Puerto Rican gunmen try to assassinate President Harry Truman and fail. 2 Washington, D.C. policemen are badly injured in the gun battle. 1 policeman, as well as one of the terrorists, dies. The surviving gunman is sentenced to life in prison. 3 years later, 4 more pro-independence Puerto Ricans are sent to prison after opening fire in the House of Representatives. Now Detective Toro and Agent Wolford theorized friends or family of the 5 may be behind this new terror group.
I was hopeful that working on the background and the current status, maybe, of those 5 political prisoners would be some kind of lead. So we went behind each of those people. We checked their mailing list. We checked their people who visited them.
At the same time, the NYPD and FBI monitor any Puerto Rican activists who have a history of promoting violence. 1 month after the bombing, the NYPD gets a call about a dead body in an abandoned building in Spanish Harlem. Rookie NYPD officer Angel Poggi, on his first day on the job, goes to investigate. Officer Poggi is of Puerto Rican descent and proud to have become one of New York City's finest.
The door was booby-trapped, and he blasted him right across the street and ended his career on the spot.
Although Officer Poggi survived the blast, he lost sight in his right eye. When police search the building, they find no dead body. The phone call was a lie to lure police into a deadly trap. The bomb squad recovers explosive residue and another luggage handle. Like the earlier bombing, they determined this bomb was made of dynamite. From the pattern of the blast damage, they suspect it was probably hung on the back of the door, possibly in a garment bag. Through another phone tip, police recover an FALN communique that proudly claims credit for bombing Officer Poggi. For the NYPD, this investigation has become personal.
They're fighting for Puerto Rican independence, and the first cop they mutilate is a Puerto Rican kid. A Puerto Rican kid, because that's all he was. When they get to your house, you sort of react a little bit different. We knew we had a war in our hands.
The communique says the bombing is revenge for the death of an obscure Puerto Rican poet, Martin Tito Perez.
If you had put Martin Tito Perez's name out in Spanish Harlem, probably a lot of people might have known who he was. But in the rest of Manhattan and in the rest of the United States, of course, nobody would have known who Martin Tito Perez was, except the bomber knew. At this point, we knew we had a Spanish Harlem connection.
A few days earlier, police photographed a Puerto Rican man in Spanish Harlem, handing out leaflets accusing the police of murdering Martin Perez in jail. Although Perez's death was officially ruled a suicide, the activist urges violent revenge against the police. His name is William Morales.
William Morales was a very activist person in Spanish Harlem. He was one of the Puerto Rican independence type people who were at any demonstration, any rally, or whatever. He was a player in the Puerto Rican independence movement.
While Morales seems suspicious, police don't have enough to bring him in. They continue their search for anyone who knows anything about the crippling attack on Officer Poggi, but come up empty. While the investigation stalls, the FALN set their sights on a historic tavern in the heart of New York's financial district. The terrorists are raising the stakes for their deadly cause. A terrorist group called the FALN detonates a series of bombs all over New York City. The FBI struggles to piece together the evidence in time to stop the bombers before they strike again. They are fighting a losing battle. Historic Francis Tavern in the financial district is a popular lunch spot for Wall Street brokers. January 24th, a bomb explodes during the lunch rush. The blast kills 4 people and injures more than 60. The victims are rushed to area hospitals. FBI Special Agent Don Wofford.
It's one of the worst explosive crime scenes I have seen in my Bureau career. The entire first floor was nothing but splinters. All of the tables and chairs and walls and everything was just splinters.
Okay, look up here.
The first bombs did not kill anyone. The second targeted a single individual. This time, the bombers clearly intended to kill as many people as possible.
This was a midday bomb, not 3 o'clock in the morning, not a bomb hung in a abandoned tenement, but a bomb put in an active restaurant full of people.
It is a scene that FBI Special Agent Rick Hahn will never forget.
The streets were wet, having been hosed down to hose off the blood and damage to the individuals that had been injured or died at the scene. Seeing that scene impacted me in such a way that I really wanted to make sure that we solved those cases.
At the site of the blast, investigators again find a luggage handle, similar to the one found at the earlier bombings. Independently, witnesses tell them that a few minutes before the bomb exploded, a suspicious man left a garment bag.
He's not dressed to be in Francis Tavern Restaurant with Wall Street brokers at noon. He must have taken a wrong turn, and why is he leaving that bag? Didn't reach down and turn on any switches, according to all the witnesses. He just dropped it. So that bomb was ticking. That thing was going. And based on the damage it did, it probably had 20 to 30 sticks of dynamite in it. So there's a man walking around Manhattan with a bomb with 20 or 30 sticks of dynamite in it. That takes some dedication.
And his hair was parted.
Witnesses work with a police artist to develop sketches of the suspect. This group was clearly becoming more dangerous, and the FBI intensifies their efforts.
Look, I got this sketch on.
The FBI distributes the sketch all over New York. But investigators can't find anyone who matches the description.
So on these letters,
In the lab, technicians review what little physical evidence they have. They turn to the letters left at each of the sites outlining the terrorist group demands.
Their objective was to kill executives from U.S. corporations, and they say that right in the communique. Corporate America is seen in those days as part of the military-industrial complex, and as such, attacking U.S. corporations is as good as attacking the U.S. government.
right here.
Lab technicians confirmed that all 3 FALN communiques use the same paper, typeface, and letterhead. It's not much to go on.
We found out, to our chagrin, that the complete communique, the paper, the ink, the font, the type, the stencil, the logo, and everything could be bought at 1 million different places in Manhattan.
I think you already know.
The luggage handles do provide lab technicians with a promising lead. The garment bags used to hide the bombs are all one particular model made by one manufacturer. It could be the break the investigators need. The FBI contacts the manufacturer for a list of every store in the New York area that carries the bags. Over the next few weeks, investigators visit each store and show the sketch. But no one seems to recognize the suspect. The bombings continue. 3 months after the Francis Tavern bombing, an FALN communique takes credit for 4 bombs that explode after midnight in Midtown Manhattan. Then, 800 miles away in Chicago, the unimaginable happens. Bombs explode at 2 banks. An FALN communique takes credit. The terrorists are now a nationwide threat. In the New York FBI office, investigators compare the Chicago communique with earlier FALN communiques.
We know immediately when we get the communique, from the masthead being the same, from the logo being the same, that this is in fact our FALN.
This gives investigators new angles to pursue.
There's a whole new theory that arises from that, and that is that we can't find them in New York because they're really a Chicago-based group.
The FBI contacts Special Agent William Dyson in the Chicago field office.
This is the first time Chicago is being involved in this group called the FALN. New York has a very large Puerto Rican population, and it appeared as though these attacks were going to be strictly in New York. Now Chicago comes new on the scene. So we were really not sure what to do. We're turning to New York saying, do you have any leads? Can you give us a hint? Where do we go?
Somehow, the FALN must communicate or travel between New York and Chicago. The FBI and police begin rechecking their list of potential suspects.
We can look at our New York people and see what kind of Chicago connections they have. Do they travel to Chicago at all? Do they, in turn, have visitors from Chicago? Is the travel the reverse? Do we see Chicago people in New York, and then do we have a bombing?
Investigators determined that several of the Puerto Rican activists they had been watching in New York have links to Chicago.
We had all of our people that we thought were interested under 24-hour surveillance. And by that, I mean we were sticking with them wherever they went. I would spend weeks and weeks on the street. We just couldn't get to the next level.
Their surveillance is not working, and the terror continues. 9 months after the Francis Tavern bombing, bombs again explode in New York. This time, the bombs also tear through the financial centers of Chicago and Washington, D.C. Once again, the FALN takes credit. After the attack, law enforcement in Chicago and corporate security guards respond by searching around their buildings. Outside the corporate headquarters of an oil company, guards discover a suspicious bouquet of flowers linked to FALN.
And they find 14 roses, high quality roses, like you would give for Mother's Day or something of that nature. Within these roses is this bomb.
The Chicago police bomb tech defuses the bomb. Now, for the first time, investigators will have the opportunity to examine an unexploded FALN bomb, which could provide critical leads. A crime lab technician reads the unique identification numbers on the sticks of dynamite. It is traced to a dam project in New Mexico, but the trail stops there. No dynamite was reported stolen. When that lead proves to be a dead end, investigators try to trace the bouquet of roses.
We've got to go to the florist. Well, it turns out there's something like 800 florists in the Chicago area. We went to every one of them. When I say we, I mean law enforcement. It wasn't just the FBI. We all got together, and we all divided up all the florist shops, and we went to every one of them. Could not find where those roses came from.
Back in New York, the FBI realizes the components of this bomb match the other bombs. Investigators compile lists of all the stores in the New York City area that sell each of the items. They find one store that sells everything.
We identify a store up in the Bronx that sells the particular types of watches that have been used, that sells the propane tanks. More importantly, it sells the types of bags that have been used to contain the bombs.
The FBI theorizes that maybe the bombers got sloppy and bought everything at the same store. At the store, investigators show the owner the composite sketch.
Couldn't say by name who the person was, but that a person similar in appearance to that person had been in his store, definitely buying a whole series of the bags and a whole series of the batteries.
Investigators believe this could be a major break. They show the store owner photos of possible suspects. She can't positively ID any of them, but she does agree to help.
We did solicit the cooperation of the owner of the store. She allowed us to go in and mark discreetly the bags, the watches, those sorts of things, to see whether or not they would be used in a device.
These marks might survive the blast and could confirm the items were purchased from her store. Investigators also established round-the-clock surveillance.
And when a person bought a bag, we would put a surveillance on that individual and try to identify who this individual was and try to match the composite to the purchaser of the bag.
Now the agents will have to wait and see if the terrorists walk into their trap. In New York, a terrorist group called the FALN plants a series of bombs, killing 4 people and injuring more than 60. Now they've expanded their terror spree to other American cities, including Washington, D.C. and Chicago. The FBI has been struggling to get a lead on the group. They learn that items similar to those used to make the bombs are all sold in a store in the Bronx. Agents set up surveillance. But after months of watching the store, they find nothing. Perhaps the terrorists have already stockpiled supplies. Or perhaps they have spotted their surveillance and are once again one step ahead of investigators. Months after the most recent bombing, the case takes a bizarre twist in Chicago. The police there get an odd tip. An informant reports that a man at a garage has been trying to sell sticks of dynamite to street gangs. The responding officer hears hammering and sees a man trying to break open a trunk.
Hey, stand up. Put the hammer down now.
The officer also spots dynamite.
Put your hands up where I can see him.
The man says his friend stole it from an apartment that contains even more explosives. The FBI rushes to the apartment. Inside, they find more than 100 sticks of dynamite and other bomb-making materials. FBI Special Agent William Dyson.
So we not only have explosives, but we also have propane tanks. We have a lot of drilled out wristwatches. We even have communiques.
Investigators feel confident they have discovered an FALN bomb factory.
We definitely have the FALN, there's no question about it. The problem is, who are the people connected with this apartment?
While the bomb squad renders the building safe, investigators question tenants who say no one lives in the apartment. They say they have seen 2 people going in and out, the building's owner, Carlos Torres, and his wife.
One of the things that struck us right away was this lack of sophistication here. The idea of having a bomb factory in your own building. The idea of you being the landlord of the building, the person who would have the access to all the vacant apartments, who would have the keys, just is plain stupid. So now we got 2 suspects, obviously, because not only do they own the building, but residents say they have access. They've seen him up in this apartment.
Investigators search for Carlos Torres, the building's owner, and his wife, Haiti. But they have vanished, which reinforces investigators' belief that they have finally identified members of the FALN. The FBI systematically hunts for the bomb factory fugitives. They begin with a thorough background investigation.
We pretty much followed the normal fugitive procedures, and that basically is to try to make a biography on each one of these individuals. Who are they? Where did they come from? Who are all their relatives? Make a family tree. We make a family tree on these people better than they would make one. We try to find out every person that's related to them in one way, shape, or form.
Agents interview and watch all of their known relatives and friends. But the fugitives have disappeared without a trace. At the same time, the FBI focuses on an odd document found in the bomb factory. It seems all the Chicago FALN suspects belong to the same Latino church committee. The Chicago FBI notifies New York.
Taking a really close
FBI Special Agent Rick Hahn.
There was a suspicion that the FALN had co-opted this organization, this charitable organization, for its own purposes, to use it for travel, to use it for funding.
FBI Special Agent Don Wolford reviews records that show the Chicago suspects used church-paid tickets to fly to New York before several past bombings.
There's lots of travel back and forth, financed by the organization, because ostensibly it is supposed to be lending and giving grants for people to start neighborhood community-type Hispanic activities, like Spanish Bibles and hymnals maybe for a church in a Hispanic neighborhood, that kind of thing.
Investigators also discovered that the church committee includes a familiar face, New York pro-violence radical William Morales. They keep a close watch on Morales and all the members of the church committee, but investigators don't see anything suspicious. They don't have enough probable cause to request wiretaps or search warrants.
We've taken a lot of heat. You know, a lot of people were asking, what are you guys doing? You know, these people keep on blowing up all these, what are you guys doing?
6 months later, at the Mobile Oil Building near Grand Central Station, a bomb in an employment office kills one person and injures 8.
She came in, she put the umbrella on.
The FBI and NYPD arrive and question witnesses. A woman who takes job applications claims she saw the bomber.
She was, you know, I know who left that bomb because I saw her and I talked to her, and I cannot believe a little girl, she kept saying, a little girl like that would leave a bomb in here and blow somebody up. But I saw her, and that's who left it.
The witness says a woman came in carrying a closed umbrella that seemed unusually heavy.
She knew when she hung that device there, when it went off, somebody was going to get hurt.
The suspect took a job application.
She scratched quick a name and an address. The bomb is clicking right next to her. She wants to get out of there fast.
The suspect tried to leave, but the woman wouldn't let her take the application with her. Minutes later, the bomb went off, decapitating the man next to it. Because he absorbed most of the blast, no one else was killed.
I do know that I could recognize her because I saw her.
Investigators asked for the application, hoping the suspect left a fingerprint. If they could find a print, it would be their first piece of solid evidence to the identity of the bombers. The lab uncovers nothing on the front of the application. But on the back, they find what they had been looking for: a single fingerprint. The fingerprint belongs to Haiti Torres, the wife of Carlos Torres, who owned the recently discovered FALN bomb factory in Chicago. New York City police issue a warrant for her arrest for second-degree murder. After a grand jury indictment, her husband Carlos is added to the FBI's top 10 fugitive list. Now that agents have identified their suspects, they must hope for a break that will uncover where the fugitives are hiding before they strike again. A terror group called the FALN plants bombs in major cities around the country, including New York and Chicago, killing 5 people and injuring more than 80. In New York, the FBI suspects that William Morales, a pro-violence radical, is somehow connected to the group. But after months of surveillance, investigators haven't seen anything suspicious. The FBI finally asks Morales if he will talk with them. Surprisingly, he agrees. FBI Special Agent Don Wolford watches through a one-way mirror as Detective Elmer Toro questions Morales about the FALN terrorist group. But he gives them nothing.
Cool, collected, not the least bit upset, not intimidated whatsoever. I don't know nothing about nothing.
Investigators watch for clues to try and determine if it is just an act.
My position was, he's a player. He's definitely a player. Maybe he is a minor league player and he doesn't know anything. I don't believe it, but maybe. But he's a player.
Investigators continue to suspect Morales. But without more evidence, there are legal limits to how far they can go. 2 months later, Queens, New York. Firefighters respond to an explosion in an apartment and find FALN letterhead. FBI agent Wolford arrives just as paramedics take a badly injured man from the apartment. Agent Wolford believes the man may be an FALN suspect and tries to identify him. But the man's face is badly injured and his hands are nearly blown off. Inside the bare apartment, investigators find 3 small pipe bombs. Evidence suggests a 4th pipe bomb exploded while being built, which explains how the man injured his hands. Investigators discover a copying machine and papers printed with the FALN logo. They also find a large stockpile of explosives. Detective Elmer Toro goes to the hospital to try to identify the suspected bomb maker. The man's hands are so badly injured that police are unable to get fingerprints. Detective Toro tells the man that investigators will learn his identity from evidence at the bomb factory.
You can see this.
He might as well admit his name now. But the man can't speak.
Manuel Rodrigo.
I wrote a bunch of names, people that I suspected. Once we got to the name of William Morales, he moved and he agreed without saying who he was. But he basically identified himself.
Detective Toro believes they may have captured the FALN's bomb maker. Toro grills him for information about the organization. But Morales refuses to cooperate. 9 months later, Morales goes on trial for reckless endangerment and possession of dangerous weapons.
Well, Morales didn't fight. Morales claimed a prisoner of war status, no defense, which is a dream for the prosecution.
The judge sentences him to 89 years. Police take Morales to the jail ward of Bellevue Hospital to be fitted with artificial hands before going to prison. Incredibly, despite police guards in the hallway, he manages to escape. Investigators rush to Morales' hospital room.
My initial reaction was, this is just a bad joke. You know, this is just a bad, yeah, right, sure he's escaped. How could he escape? First off, he's physically unable to escape. And secondly, he's up on the 3rd floor.
There's nothing down there. It's just, we don't have him.
They find the window bars and mesh cut open.
The mesh had been spread apart not more than 6 to 8 inches, just about like this.
I mean, that's great.
So he had to squeeze through that hole and get out of the mesh. And then how did he get down 3 floors? And of course, coming to mind immediately was he had help.
Investigators begin to piece together what happened. Someone must have smuggled in a pair of bolt cutters.
William Morales cut himself out from the 3rd floor with his elbows. Because he had no hands.
Investigators believe Morales jumped 3 floors to the ground, where waiting accomplices drove him away. The FBI and NYPD launch an all-out manhunt for Morales and alert the public and police across the country to be on the lookout. But months go by, and the manhunt turns up nothing. Then the terrorists strike again. 6 months after Morales' escape, the FALN begins bombing again in New York, Chicago, and San Juan, Puerto Rico. 1 year after William Morales' escape, just north of Chicago, Evanston police respond to reports of an illegally parked van. They radio in the license, which comes back stolen. Police decide to watch the stolen van to see if anyone comes back.
So they surveil it. I mean, they could have towed it away, but they surveil it.
A short while later, a man and woman drive up to the van and begin loading it.
Police, put your hands up! Let me see your hands! Let me see your hands! Turn around! Face away from me! Stay right where you are!
Police confront the two and find rifles. The suspects have no ID and refuse to speak, leaving police at a loss.
They can't even figure out what nationality they are. So they bring him in. So they got those two people.
A few hours later, in the same Chicago suburb, a citizen calls Evanston police to complain about a truck parked in a wealthy neighborhood. The woman says people have been coming up to the truck and climbing in the back all morning.
A police officer comes out and tries to talk to the driver.
What are y'all doing here in the neighborhood?
Why are you here? Well, I'm visiting. Who are you visiting? I'm visiting that person over there. Well, who is that person? Well, I don't know his name and all that. And first, vague type of descriptions.
It all seems very suspicious. The officer glances into the truck and spots the butt of a handgun. Now he knows he's dealing with armed suspects, and there may be more of them hiding in the back of the truck.
Step out of the vehicle, sir.
Amid a rash of terror bombings, officers in Evanston, Illinois, arrest a suspicious couple. In the back of their truck, police find people with shotguns, handguns, and disguises. Officers arrest them as well. Evanston police photograph and fingerprint their prisoners.
No, I've got the list. Can you run it for
They
me?
also check their identification, but they run into a problem. The names on their IDs prove to be false. Detectives try to interview the suspects, but they refuse to talk. Sensing they are onto something big, the police call the FBI. FBI Special Agent William Dyson looks at the prisoners and immediately recognizes one as a major FALN terrorist.
I've got his wanted poster, top 10 fugitive, and I recognize him. I mean, this is Carlos Torres.
Agent Dyson also recognizes other prisoners as members of the FALN.
It was like looking at this collage that I had above my desk in the office of all these wanted people. So we have the FALN. We know we have the FALN. We're able to identify enough of them. This is the FALN.
The FBI takes a closer look at the false IDs. From past experience, the FBI knows that criminals who use fake ID often include a real address so that it can be used to function in society. Agents notice that several of the IDs have the same Chicago address. The FBI and Chicago police raid that address and find bomb-making materials and more FALN evidence. With information from the captured terrorists, agents raid addresses in Milwaukee, New York, and New Jersey. They take down more FALN safe houses. 6 years after the bombings began, a federal jury finds the captured FALN terrorists guilty of seditious conspiracy, weapons violations, interstate transportation of stolen vehicles, and other charges. But notorious FALN suspected leader William Morales still remains a fugitive.
A group of us got together.
Just before sentencing, One FALN member decides to cooperate in exchange for a reduced sentence. He says the 11 terrorists were in Evanston to rob an armored car to finance more bombings. He also describes a meeting at a Milwaukee safe house.
They had this meeting in which they plot this thing out, and the man leading the meeting, he's got a mask on, so you can't recognize him. But he's got no hands. So immediately, everybody knew it was William Morales.
Fanatical FALN leader William Morales' hands were maimed years earlier while making a bomb. Investigators press for more information, but the cooperating FALN member doesn't know how to find Morales. Agents try a different approach and question their informant about how the FALN recruits members.
We have to know how they bring new people into the group. Once we know that, then we can go after them.
Strong activists who are ready to do.
Investigators learned that the FALN recruits from the ranks of Puerto Rican radicals. Anyone who joins must drop all political activities in order to maintain a low profile. With that pattern in mind, FBI Special Agent Rick Hahn searches through hundreds of files on Puerto Rican radicals. It's a long-shot attempt to identify the remaining FALN terrorists.
We looked for individuals that had stopped attending rallies and things like that, that had made themselves quite well known prior to that time. And we focused on them for surveillances.
More than a year passes before the FBI finally finds one suspect who seems to lead a double life.
Very, very quickly, we realized this guy's clandestine. He's doing things that's not normal.
Agents track the suspect to an FALN safe house. Based on the suspect's behavior, the FBI gets a court order allowing listening devices and wiretaps. In March 1983, 2 years after first gaining cooperation from the FALN informant, the FBI gets a break. Through a wiretap, they overhear a suspected FALN member on the phone asking a mysterious man in Mexico to come to Chicago.
He refused to come up and said, basically, why don't you come visit me? I'm having plastic surgery done. I'm in need of good identification. I can't come into the country. I'll be too easily recognized, that sort of thing.
The mysterious man says to call the same number in a week. In a huge break, investigators identify the mystery voice as that of the FALN's fugitive leader.
By his voice, we were pretty sure that it was probably William Morales.
It's the first time the FBI has heard Morales' voice since his bold escape from New York police custody 4 years earlier. The FBI traces terrorist leader William Morales' phone call to a cafe in Puebla, Mexico. Back in Chicago, the FBI is stuck. They have no jurisdiction in Mexico. Agents plan to continue listening to their wiretap and arrest Morales when he makes his plan to come back to America. But since Morales may have had plastic surgery and significantly changed his appearance, agents ask Mexican federales to secretly photograph him. FBI Special Agent Rick Hahn.
The federales went down to that coffee shop and found Morales seated at a table there.
Morales had severely maimed his hands years earlier while making a bomb. He cannot protect himself or fire a gun. The FBI warns the federales he is probably accompanied by an armed bodyguard. FBI Special Agent Don Wolford.
We told him, hey, this guy's got backup, watch it. You just can't walk up with this guy and say, in the car.
The federales don't see a bodyguard and decide to make the arrest themselves. NYPD Detective Elmer Toro.
They were not supposed to take him down. They were supposed to take photographs. And they decided to make the arrest. And William Morales, like a nice trained terrorist, he simply gave up and provided the opportunity for his bodyguard to step out of the restaurant.
The bodyguard opens fire, shooting both federales, one of them critically. The other federale returns fire, killing the bodyguard. He takes Morales into custody, but his arrest comes at a great price. The wounded federale dies on the way to the hospital. New York Police Detective Elmer Toro immediately flies down to Mexico to interview Morales and try to arrange his return.
Morales being in police custody and having killed a police officer, I'm sure was subject to some degree of torture by the federales down there.
Morales greets Detective Toro like a long-lost friend.
He was happy to see me, and he said to me, and I always remember, he says, Elmer, I want to go back with you.
Take me with you.
Detective Toro says he'll draw up the papers, and Morales promises to sign.
Just take me with you.
Okay, once Mexican police learn that Morales is going back to the U.S., they treat him better to avoid a possible scandal.
Okay.
Back at his hotel, Detective Toro calls the FBI with the incredible news about Morales.
Getting anything done in Mexico is just like, forget it. But now he's talking about, I want to come back. And we're all saying, thank you, Lord. Let him come back.
But it's not that simple.
All of a sudden I put the 6 o'clock news, and there is the bastard denouncing us.
Morales appears on TV, flanked by radical lawyers from Cuba, the U.S., and Mexico. He now angrily condemns America.
By this time, he's got a battery of attorneys from all over the place. He had people from Cuba, the attorneys from Cuba, very powerful attorneys. And once he was protected by these attorneys, he didn't need Elmer Toro anymore. He didn't want to come back anymore.
Detective Toro now realizes that Morales used him to gain better treatment in jail while waiting for his lawyers to arrive. In the months to come, Cuba uses its influence and money to win the release of Morales.
He's on the beach in Cuba, in Cienfuegos, Cuba, I believe. Sooner or later, Fidel Castro's government is going to go, and maybe we'll see Morales at that point.
With Morales in permanent exile and other key members in prison, the FALN's 8-year reign of terror comes to an end. The FBI and police, through dedicated investigative work and patient long-term surveillance, have defeated one of the most deadly domestic terror groups in U.S. history.